بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The lesson today that we're going to talk about is, as you see in the title, it's not over, being that we still are going to be proceeding on with this beautiful fast, and this is the best part. This is the best part, being that it's the end, close to the end of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And as we know, the last 10 nights of Ramadan are the most blessed nights of the year. And, some of the scholars will mention that the last 10 days of Ramadan are the best 10 days are the 10 days of Hajj. But the best 10 nights are the last 10 nights of Ramadan, being that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to make i'tikaf. And as you've taken with Ustad Mikhail, that the i'tikaf, or the seclusion, the sacred seclusion in the mosque, was solely for the purpose of searching and having undivided attention for capturing Laylatul Qadr. That in the chapter of Qadr that I mentioned to you before, if you look into this chapter, it speaks about Laylatul Qadr being khayrun min alfi shahr, that it's better than 1,000 months. Many times we say it's equal to 1,000 months, or even when we say it, we're saying, okay, what's 1,000 months calculated in years, 83 years, etc. But it's better than that. So whether it's an expression or not in Arabic, the Arabic expression or not, it's still the best night of the year. So when we look at that, brothers and sisters, we understand that these last 10 nights is something la yufarrat fi, that is something that we should not take for granted or be neglectful of. With that being the case, the best part is definitely embarking upon these nights in Ramadan. And the best part is the conclusion of Ramadan from an aspect, because the believer that really wants to embark upon Ramadan and look at this month of Ramadan and doesn't want it to end, this is the feeling of the believer, because they see this, they have felt the spiritual connection that they have had with their Lord. They realize, even from a physical perspective, that the body is amazing. It can go on for 18 hours without eating, drinking, and having any type of intimacy and focus. So we have to look at these things and cherish and be present with the reality that we encounter on that time frame of fasting, that we don't eat and drink, that we are focusing on worshiping Allah. And when we divert, we come back, especially before iftar. And then when we have iftar, we realize, wow, I did it in the beginning. And in the middle, wow, let me try to encounter this month. And then in the end, it's like it's already leaving. So really, that's how we have to look at it. And the believer looks at it as, after they ask it's already leaving, they want to have an opportunity to continue on more. Well, ubashirukum, I congratulate you, because like I said, the best part is even when it's over, from the aspect or from the angle of seeing that you have tasted the sweetness of faith, being that you are longing for Ramadan to continue. You tasted the sweetness of faith, being that you want to continue this act of fasting even outside of Ramadan. You see the blessings and benefit of your spiritual detachment from this dunya, and how your encounter with the Quran while fasting, breaking your fasting, allows you to internalize the blessing of a time frame, which is 30 days. And there's no immediate contact per se, but you have embraced and accepted the reality that these 30 days, even though the sun shines, it gets dark like every other month of the year, but due to the connection that you have with your Creator and the sincerity and certainty that you have obtained throughout this blessed journey, you realize even though the sun comes up and goes down, the time frame goes beyond the capabilities of man. And I trust in the one that has told me about the blessings of this day that are hidden. So when we see that, when you encounter that, and if you have encountered that in this month of Ramadan, know that that's part of the best part, being that you have that feeling, internalize it, you've inculcated it within yourself, and even within your friends or family. Even if they're non-Muslim, they see how it has made you change. They see how you have voluntarily left all things for something much greater. So when looking at this month of Ramadan, brothers and sisters, we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that it's the month of the Quran. For those of you that don't know, there was a seminar that we have taken, and we're concluding it actually. It's going to be the last, we've covered from A to Z, actually Alif to Ya, how to read the Quran al-Kareem. And alhamdulillah, within 20 sessions, you can go on the website and you can sign up for this course in 20 sessions for no more than, and for an average of 15 minutes each session, you will be able to learn how to read the Book of Allah. And mashallah, I congratulate those that have taken that course and went along with us on a day-to-day basis for 20 days throughout these 30 days of Ramadan, or 29 days, and taking it upon yourself to learn the Book of Allah. That is commendable. May Allah bless you, and may Allah make you of those that when reading the Quran, if you stutter, that you will be of the ones that are receive double the reward, as the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, mentioned. So when seeing this month of Ramadan, you should look at it as a challenge. Because as I mentioned in the beginning sessions in Ramadan, the importance of discipline, how discipline is that which will make you free and give you success, because you have a mission and you are day by day working on that mission and getting closer and closer to your goals. And that is freedom, because you are acting in according to your goal. But if you are held down by those things that withhold you from your goal, and that is your desires can withhold you from your goal, because you are just doing everything on every which time frame, whenever you want. Just like when you go on the internet and you're looking for something, but then you see an ad, you go off into the ad, next thing you know, it's 30 minutes. Or you're going to a Word file, you want to type something, and you get on Facebook, and next thing you know, an hour has passed. No discipline. You see, discipline is where what will get you to your goals. So when we look at this aspect of discipline, looking at the month of Ramadan, Allah has obliged it upon you to fast 30 months to show you so many things. And when you realize those things, you say, wow, that is the best part. I never thought I would be able to do this. I never thought that I would be able to not eat and drink for 16 hours, to pray, to read the Quran. I never read the Quran like this. I never thought that I'd be able to. I never thought that I would have the feeling of guilt I'm not reading the Quran. You maybe didn't even read the Quran, but you have this feeling of guilt of not picking up the Book of Allah. There's still time. A couple of nights are left over. And if not, every night Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down in the last third. So the best part is the realization of your deficiency. The best part is the realization of the temporary time in the month of Ramadan and in life in general. The fact that you realize this is a blessing. That's the best part that I'm referring to. So when we look at the Quran, brothers and sisters, take it upon yourself to pick up the Book of Allah. And as my mentor said, put your face in that joint. Long time ago when I was a new Muslim, when he said that, it really impacted me. You know, he was really, every time when he talked to me, he'd talk about, you know, how people would make certain statements and, you know, they give certain fatwa or Islamic verdicts. And the question he would always say is, man, have they read the Quran from cover to cover? Have they read the Quran, not in Arabic, in English? Have they read the Quran from cover to cover? How are you going to speak about the religion? And you're going to be someone that's going to say, well, this is permissible and this is not. And you haven't read the Quran from cover to cover. If a chapter of the Quran is mentioned to you, you have no idea. You don't even know what that is. You think is, well, you don't even know what that is. If they say Shu'ara and Shura, are you saying, no, you made a mistake? It's one chapter. As a matter of fact, it's two. Okay. So these types of things, getting more acquainted with the Quran will make you more of a humble person, especially us as converts. You know, a lot of times you want to, in social gatherings, talk about issues that we have no business talking about because we have no ultimate knowledge of the issue. We have no knowledge of the issue. We have no knowledge that there may be difference in opinion. So when we look in this, brothers and sisters, in the Quran, that transitions us over to fasting. Now, fasting in Islam, as we know, it's withholding oneself from eating, drinking, and intimacy from sunup to sundown. You've been doing that for the past couple of days, 30 days or even less. Looking in this month of Ramadan, as I always tell you all, to be spiritual opportunists, to take advantage of the time that you have that is limited. It's limited and you don't know when it's going to end. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, within Islam, we know that fasting is obligatory. It's obligatory upon every Muslim that has reached the age of puberty and they are able to, and they are sane. If they are able to do that, then it is obligatory upon them to fast. But there are other optional fasts in Islam. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever fasts Ramadan, then follows it up with 6 days from Shawwal, فَكَأَنَّمَا صَامَ الدَّهْرِ. He said, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan, then follows it up with 6 days, 6 from Shawwal. And Shawwal is the month following Ramadan. So you have Sha'ban, okay, Ramadan, Shawwal, okay. Now Shawwal is the month following Ramadan. So he said, whoever follows that month of Ramadan, then fasts 6 days after that from the month of Shawwal, it is like he has fasted a whole lifetime. Now, if Shawwal comes in and you have not finished Ramadan, what do I mean by finished Ramadan? Someone will say, okay, well, the month of Ramadan is over and I finished it. Well, if you traveled in the month of Ramadan or you were sick and you did not fast that day, you know, if you're sick, if it's a terrible sickness, flu or the likes of that, you're not able to function, it's allowed for you to break your fast. If you are traveling, you're allowed to break your fast, but you have to make those days up. Okay, you have to make those days up. So when looking at that, brothers and sisters, if the month of Shawwal has come in, you have technically not completed the month of Ramadan. So you need to complete Ramadan. So when we say complete Ramadan, complete 30 consecutive days or 30 days of fasting, 30 consecutive days of fasting. Okay, so it's upon you to complete those 30 days. Now, you may meet some people that say, no, you can fast the 6 days of Shawwal and you have the rest of the year to finish up the rest of those 30 days. Okay, either way, it's fine. You may hear one or the other. I would prefer, and Allah knows best, that you finish up those days of Ramadan if they are below 15 days, or we can even say 20 to 24 days. If the days you have to make up are less than that, then go ahead and make those days up. Then fast the 6 days of Shawwal. Do the 6 days of Shawwal have to be consecutive? Preferably, yes. Preferably, yes, that you follow them up consecutively. So with that being the case, 6 days of Shawwal is not an obligatory fast, but it is highly recommended. Now, when we look at that, the Prophet ﷺ said it's like he fasted a lifetime. Some scholars will say it's like he fasted the whole year, because the word in Arabic can insinuate both. So it is though you have fasted the whole year. Another optional fast is the 3 days of what they call al-Badr or al-Bid, Ayyam al-Bid, the 3 white days. Why white? Because these are the days of the full moon, the middle of the month. You know, in Islam, we follow the lunar calendar. We don't follow the Gregorian calendar. So roughly we have about 362 days roughly. Okay. So we follow the lunar calendar, meaning that the moon determines the beginning of the month. Hence, the beginning of the month of Ramadan is a crescent moon. Hence, one of the signs of Islam is the moon with the star. Okay. For that reason, that our calendar is based on the moon and when it is a full moon and a crescent moon. A crescent moon symbolizes the beginning of the month. The full moon symbolizes the middle of the month. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that fasting the 3 days of the lunar or the white days, it is like the situation of a lifetime, showing the greatness of it. So if one was to fast these 3 days, this is very good also. So every 3 days of the lunar calendar now, not of the Gregorian calendar, not 13, 14, 15 of the Gregorian, 13, 14, 15 of the lunar calendar, you know, the Islamic calendar, which, by the way, Umar ibn al-Khattab, who was a companion of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said it's obligatory for Muslims to follow or at least have knowledge of the lunar calendar. Another voluntary fast is the fasting of Mondays and Thursdays. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned that Kullu yawm al-khamis, there are 2 days of the month, turfa a'malu ila Allah, that the actions of the slave are raised up to Allah. And He knows. And I love for my actions to be raised, and I'm fasting. So the days of Mondays and Thursdays are days also to fast that are optional and that have the virtue of being actions lifted up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are also voluntary fasts for the Muslim. Also, fasting one day and leaving the other day off. This is the best type of fasting. As the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, this is the fasting of Dawood alayhi salam. He used to fast one day and leave one day off. Fast one day and leave one day off. This is the best fasting of Dawood alayhi salam. And then subhanAllah, as I mentioned before, you find a lot of people coming out now in the fitness world and even in the medical field talk about intermittent fasting. This has been a treatment since the beginning of time. I mean, I think it's even Hippocrates, he used to treat his patients by having them fast. So it's kind of a spiritual, natural, organic detox, if you will, being that it flushes out and cleans out the cells by extracting the toxins that are within the mitochondria of the cells. Also, your pituitary gland inside of your brain secretes something called human growth hormone, and that hormone assists in fat loss. It kind of fights, for lack of better words, insulin, which is a fat hormone that comes from your pancreas, that when you eat a lot of sugar, it secretes that insulin. So when you have your fasting, the human growth hormone is secreted exponentially more than if you were not to fast. And that hormone helps your physique, strengthens your connective tissue, your tendons, ligaments. Look it up, human growth hormone. So that's one of the benefits of fasting, as we see it was a treatment, and also it's economically feasible. And subhanAllah, your mind is much sharper. I mean, if you have I think y'all should know by now, if you just embrace and just kind of be present and think of, right now I'm fasting, how do I feel? I feel sharp. You're able to listen to this lesson. But your psychology has a lot to do with the two, especially in the middle of the day. If you're thinking about food and you're not staying busy with doing something, it can turn the other way. But if you're busy with a schedule and thinking and pondering over things, your regular schedule, you will see how fasting is marvelous. It's a beautiful anecdote. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it was written for the people before you. Perhaps you may be of the righteous. So written for the people before you, there are so many benefits that we don't know about, and we're slowly discovering, Muslim and non-Muslim, of the benefits of fasting. But as was mentioned before, Allah is Al-Alim. He is Al-Hakim. He's the all-knowing. He's the all-wise. He is the one that has prescribed this and legislated it for numerous benefits, which some of them we have encountered. And amongst us, we've encountered more than others. And generally, all of us as human beings have not encountered many of the other benefits. So with that being the case, brothers and sisters, as we mentioned before, the best part is the end of Ramadan being that you have some self-reflection and you see where Allah has brought you from the beginning to the end. But if we consider this the end, we know that we have many other options of fasting. From them was the fasting of the Prophet Dawood, fasting one day and leaving one day off. Another of them was fasting on the 3 white days, the Ayyam al-Bid, when the sun is at its of the full moon, on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the lunar calendar. And thirdly, fasting Mondays and Thursdays of the week. Mondays and Thursdays of the week. And also there are some other fasts, even Hajj, for those that don't make Hajj, fasting on the day of Arafah, and also the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, if you're not someone that is making Hajj. So all of these are opportunities for you to get closer to Allah, and we should remember that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you those that are successful in this month of Ramadan and for the months to come. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Jazakallahu khairan.